that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing agents who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you'd like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I am joined live and in studio by the one and only Trish Flynn.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Happy to be here?
No, just kidding. I am. You know me. I just get very nervous.
It's so harmless. Like, I feel like I've been doing it for so long that I'm just, like, having conversations.
Yeah, you just
like,
come in on
just
two wheels. I've been sitting here sweating for the last half an hour.
Hey, I did give you a courtesy text just saying, like, if you show up and I'm not here, do not freak. I promise.
I appreciate it. I do.
Yeah, I don't, you know, but sometimes when Tracy does the show with me, Tracy used to show up pretty early. Tracy Grady, who is a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate, she does the show often with me on Saturdays. And, you know, she used to, when she first started, she used to be here half hour early, and she'd be sitting here like, oh my gosh, are they showing up? Is Melissa showing up? What's going on? And finally she knows, like, all right, we're here 10 minutes before. We get everything set up. We're good. It all works out.
Yes, you guys are like a well-oiled machine.
But I was like, you know what? Trish is on tonight just in case, which I'm usually here all day until 7 because that's when we end the show. But I'm usually here. But I had to step out for a few minutes actually to see Tracy. So you know we're gonna truck along here. Yes. But don't worry, we're here. Yes. We're ready.
We're excited.
We're excited. Yeah, I had sent out an email to a couple agents here in the office just seeing, hey, are there any Tuesdays that you want to join me on the show? I was coming up with an agenda or really a list of things. And like I've said on the show many times is we come up with a lot of our topics for the show just in our everyday life.
Yes.
Especially because, you know, we try to get together or at least offer something once or twice a week for our agents to come in. I mean, they can come and go as they please. You guys can come and go as you please. But we try to do some sort of an open discussion, or today we had an office meeting. And, you know, it just things come up naturally. And we're just always talking and bouncing ideas off of each other.
And working through things all the time.
Things. Yeah, so
there's
we have
never a deal that never is the same. So it's always nice to get other opinions and points of view on things.
What is it there's no every clover is different. There's no two clovers that look
snowflakes.
The same. Snowflakes. Okay.
Yes.
Clovers
that
too.
That would be a real estate transaction. They're just like snowflakes.
Yeah, I know. Well, we do a like a round table discussion in the beginning of the year, usually every January, sometimes in February if we're super busy. Is we talk about, you know, some transactions that happened in the year before and what you learned from them and what happened, what could have been differently, what went great. So we do that.
It's so helpful too, because we all learn from each other, and like we said, there's never the same deal ever. So it's good to hear sometimes when you're struggling with things that other people have had the same struggles, and to know that that's also a normal thing, that's also helpful too.
It is very helpful. My mom is the number one listener, so she's going to be texting me during the whole entire show. Here we go. Have a good show, ladies.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
have a good show.
That's
to
so
us.
nice.
Yeah.
My mom might be your second fan, though,
Oh
because my
gosh.
mom's always talking about Melissa and what the show is. I'm like, oh, good, Mom. I'm glad you caught it.
She was
I didn't even tell her I was doing it. I should have.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding
I know.
me?
She's going to be upset.
I feel like she listens more on Saturdays, though.
She does.
Yeah.
She's a big Saturday listener
here,
when she's vacuuming and cleaning her house.
Yeah, she was here for the ice cream social, and I'm in line with my boyfriend, and all of a sudden she goes, I have to tell you something. I said, what? She goes, I just love your show.
She does. She does. She's like, I'm always learning things from Melissa. I'm like, I'm glad, Mom.
And you're like, hello. I'm a realtor too, and so is my husband.
Yes, exactly.
And we are going to get into your introduction,
Yeah.
I promise. But yeah, so we have a list, sort of an ongoing list here. Julia put together. She puts together our agendas. But you know, an ongoing list of things that we want to talk about, because sometimes we do the show, Sharon and I, or another agent, or even guests that we have on. We talk about things. And we're like, oh, that would be a great show. That would be a great show. So Julia came up with the whole list. I showed it to you. You did have to ask me like 3 times. Like, can I see the list? Can I see the list?
I know. I need to see it.
And I was like, oh, yeah. No, I'll send it to you. You're like, no, I need to see it now.
Now.
That was a week ago. And, you know, you sort of picked this topic, and we'll reveal it after your introduction. But we picked this topic, and it sort of goes with, so if you're a Saturday listener as well, Sharon and I did a show very similar to this. So it's sort of a continuation and a recap. But I love doing sort of the same topic with different guests to get their perspective. So I would love to get your perspective on this. And let's see. So, Trish Flynn, why don't you introduce yourselves to all of our listeners, even though you have been on the show with me before. It's been a little bit, but reintroduce yourselves to all of our listeners and tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Trish Flynn. I've been with Sharon since kind of like before Boston Connect went into existence. And I worked in the office, and then I helped with mentoring new agents. And then my husband and I started a full-time team, so we work together every single day, and it's great, and it's really good. I married the right person. If I feel like I can work with him and literally sit across from a table like this, every day, all day, so it's a lot of fun. I do love all things real estate. I've enjoyed growing and doing and learning
and your family grew during your time here at Boston Connect as well.
It certainly did. We're now a family of 4. I have 2 boys. I'll give them a little shout out. They're both Badgers. They're both at football practice right now, and we've got some tough games this weekend.
Yeah.
So
go Badgers!
Let's go Badgers!
We're all rooting for you.
Yes, I know. It's been fun watching them, and real estate's allowed me to not miss out on so much.
I think you did 2 shows with me about investment properties. So your husband, you and your husband Nick, who is obviously your team member here at Boston Connect Real Estate. You both are full-time invested in this. You guys own an investment property as well, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that in case somebody hasn't caught that show.
So we own a property in Vermont that we Airbnb full-time. And we've owned it for just over a year. It's been great.
Already?
I know already. And it's been very, very good. It's been very good to us, knock on wood. It's been very successful. I actually did get on skis too.
Wow.
Which never say never.
Have you ever skied before?
And I decided that it was not for me. But we got to ski in April because our place is up by Jay Peak. So winter stays long up there. So we had, conditions weren't terrible, but there was minimal people.
Yeah.
So I really loved it because I'm so nervous about all the people on the mountain. I just didn't want to crash because I wasn't very good, but it was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't think that you could go skiing or snowboarding in the middle of April, but when you have a house like you do in a great location, it's sort of ideal.
It was perfect for us, and it wasn't being used. So we're like, all right, we'll go up for the weekend, and it worked out.
That's awesome. Good for you guys. I can't believe you guys have had it for a year.
I know.
Wild. I don't even
Time
remember.
flies.
I know time flies when you're having fun. Yeah. So if anybody wants to hear that show, you can go to talkrealestateroundtable.com. You can go to our podcast or whatever podcast app you use and go to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. I believe you did that show with Trish.
Jess.
With Jess Page and anybody else, was that?
No,
I think
because Matt will never join us.
I asked Matt Mahoney, but he
just can't do it.
weirdly enough, lost my number.
It's very
as soon
strange.
As I texted him.
Until he needs something.
Yeah, until I need something. Hey, can I get this? So no, we love Matt, but
we gotta give him a hard time.
Yeah, I will let everybody know we are live on Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're waving hello, so you can see us. You can comment on any video, so be sure to follow Sharon Costa McNamara Horton Group, Boston Connect Real Estate. I'm sure Trish is going to share this as well, so you can follow Trish Flynn on any of the socials. You can call or text the studio. I believe we have Larry tonight. Hi, Larry.
Oh, he doesn't want to say hi.
He stepped out last week, too, as soon as I said that. I was like, what? But we do have Larry in studio, so you can call or text the studio, 781-837-4900. Again, that number is 781-837-4900. You can call or text if you're a little shy.
Yes.
But let's sort of jump right into it. So I had said before the introduction that, we had this list of topics that we sort of have always been like, oh, we got to do a show on that. We got to go do a show on that. And this is sort of a continuation because Sharon and I did talk about fall and listing and buying in the fall and sort of being in a home or selling your home before the holiday season. We called it Home for the Holidays. But what made you want to choose this topic over the other 20-something on the list?
It was definitely more than 20.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one just really spoke to me because I purchased my first home in the fall.
Me too.
And I used to be such a summer person. I am still a summer person. That's always like my first vote. But then I love fall next. And I think of like home. And it is like, apples and pumpkins and coziness and not so hot. And New England is stunning in the fall.
It really is.
We've had a lot of hot summers and a lot of water bans where like lawns are just very burnt and houses that didn't have AC kind of are like, ugh. It stands out.
Jinx.
It's very nice when you walk into a nice cold house. But when houses don't have AC, it's like, oh, it's very glaring.
It stands out because you don't typically look at a house that doesn't have heat. So
you can't buy one unless you have cash.
Yeah, so it doesn't exactly stand out. I mean, it's sort of you expect it to have heat when you come in during the fall and winter months, but definitely, I would say I hadn't really thought of that before. See, you're already adding things to my mind here. I hadn't really even thought about that part either. You walk into a house and you immediately, I guess this is part of like the five senses show that we do because you walk in and you're like, oh, is it warm? Is it freezing?
And I love, like, I'm a windows open kind of person. I love the breeze. I love fresh air. Shades up, windows open. That's like my happy place.
Yeah.
Like with AC, it's just after a while, I'm like, all right, it's chilly. Okay.
Yeah. I can't wait for, I don't have central AC. We do have window ACs in my house, but I can't wait to take them out, have the windows open. My cats love to sit in the windowsill and just like the breeze through their whiskers. I'm such a loser, but like
No, you're not.
I love seeing that. But I love having like just a breeze coming through, and it just gives a different feeling. Again, it's sort of like the Five Senses show where there's just a different vibe, and I hate to use such like a millennial
but it's
thing,
true.
but it really is. And there's so many people who love fall and love the holidays that like this is where they feel they're happy. I'm not a summer person.
I know you don't like the sun.
I'm too fair skinned. Okay, I don't particularly care for the summer. So, but when you said that you had bought your first house in the fall, it made me think about my journey, and I felt very like almost like I had last summer before I had my accepted offer in the fall and closed in the fall, I felt like I was chasing something. Like I was like, oh, I got to do it before the summertime. And I'm like, why? I don't have kids. Like I don't have, I'm not changing my job. Like what's the rush?
But people
like,
just put like deadlines or like.
I put a deadline in my mind that for like no reason. I gave myself anxiety.
But I think it's also like the way like our calendar works and like, getting in by the end of the year. Like our brains are just wired to be like, okay, we got to wrap this up before, this year before. And I think people do have a push to do that. It's just kind of like naturally like, we'll start the new year in a new house. Yeah. And sometimes it's really nice. A lot of people, it's very strange when they're shopping for houses. They're like, where's the Christmas tree going to go? Mm-hmm. It's such a weird thing. I had somebody literally that everywhere we went, it won't fit in this house. We got to go somewhere else. I'm like, funny. But it's only up for a month and a half. I know, but it's very important to me. And I was like,
funny that you said that because when I bought my house, my boyfriend Ethan was like, "Oh, where are you going to put the Christmas tree?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And I had said this, I think on Saturday's show that, I had bought my house in November. I did some things to it, didn't move in until I think December 17th. And then I looked up on Christmas Eve and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have a Christmas tree. So I went to the Bloomin' Place to see if they just had anything. I didn't even care if it was
on a table, like exactly.
Nothing. And they like really didn't have anything at that point. I was like, do I get a wreath? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, you need something.
And I was leaving and there was one little Christmas tree with
like
a red
Charlie
stand. It looked like an actual, like it was an actual tree, but like, the shape, like everything was full. And I was like, wow. I was like, oh, how much is this? And he's like, oh, for you, it's free. And I told him, I was like, I just bought my first house and I don't have a Christmas tree. And he goes, oh my gosh, of course it's free for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just put it, I have like built-ins in one of my rooms and I just put it in there and I was like, oh, well, that's where the Christmas tree's going this year.
Yes,
I don't know about
exactly.
I don't know about next year. But
funny.
It's funny that you said that. So that's something that was important to your client. Was that recently or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So they'll be spending their first Christmas this year because they bought in the summer.
So something to check in. So check in with them and say, hey, where'd you end up putting your Christmas
I want to see it. I want to see a picture of the tree.
Where'd you end up putting your tree?
They have a huge family room with cathedral ceilings. It's like,
going in there.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
It is going in there
for them.
So we're calling the show why fall is a hidden gem in real estate. So why do you think that fall is a hidden gem when it comes to real estate buying or selling?
That's the thing. It's like it's beneficial for both parties. I think for sellers, people tend to take their homes off the market because they're just like, all right, like I don't want to be inconvenienced with showings over the holidays, but it's like you can block off times. It's not like you have to show your house on Thanksgiving, on Halloween. Like people get it and people have lives too, and I wouldn't think that people would want to be looking at houses on those days, but you can always say no and you can see it tomorrow and sell it the day after. So I think that the inventory definitely drops off and then people there aren't so many looky-loos. So like your open house isn't filled with, just people that are like, maybe I'll look. It's people that need homes that want to be in and they'll be more aggressive with their offers and there's less homes on the market. I mean, we're still battling a huge lack of inventory. So I just think, your house is going to show well. Yeah. Put some mums out, a pumpkin, light the candle, and it's like sells itself.
Someone said the other day, I don't know if it was during a discussion or wherever I was, and they said, oh, maybe we could open the open house up for an hour before for neighbors and, looky-loos. And I was like, what? Like, where everything is accessible on the internet, like we really have to do an open house just for people to like looky-loos who have absolutely no intention of buying the house?
Some. I'm not gonna lie. There was
really?
I just went to an open house in Bridgewater and I was looking for one of my buyers and I was like, let me just pop in and see. And the whole open house was full of the neighbors. They're like, we've just been waiting so long to see it and we wanted to see it. And I was like, oh, you should have had the open house the hour before so that they're not filling the open house. But who knows?
My
They were
gosh.
like, we're really cool people. I'm like, oh, I'm just an agent. You don't need to sell me on
I'm
how
really
cool you are.
I'm really cool. I'll be sure to tell my client. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I will.
And-
I will say that. So, my grandparents, and then like my Nana's brother and his wife, they raised their kids in Weymouth on the same street. I think 3 doors down from each other. So every single time that the both houses have sold since then, since the early 2000s or whenever it is that everybody left, they've gone to every open house, and I'm just like, oh.
Well, I would love
They've done
to.
so much work to the house that you can't even tell. They're like, oh, remember when the stairs used to go this way? And I'm just like, it doesn't even look like the same house. You could be anywhere.
But it's true.
It is true,
If
yeah.
my old house came on the market, I'd love to go see what they did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
It's funny. We were just looking at old pictures, and one of my youngest son, he was not even in kindergarten when we left, and he's like, I don't even remember that. I'm like, oh, that kind of hurts my soul.
I know.
But
I know we came across a picture, and it had like certain wallpaper in the background. We were like trying to figure out, was that Nana's house or Uncle Bob's house? Who had the wallpaper in that room? We were trying to figure out whose house it was. But
so
yeah,
funny.
no, it was. I guess I understand the thought, but I'm like, to go and have like a specific open house just for looky-loos. Are we just feeding into sort of
for certain markets, I would definitely do it.
Okay.
I would.
All right. I'm letting you win this one.
I'll let you know the first time I do.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know
Let
how
me
it
know.
goes.
I want you to do that the next listing you guys have.
Let
me know
a very
how it goes.
specific one.
But I agree. I think that there's, less competition in the fall. And, I think possibly people want to take their houses off the market because they don't want to be interrupted. And I actually think that it would be less interruption, but more serious buyers.
Yes.
During the holidays.
And let's face it, I mean, houses aren't staying on the market for very long. So if you put it on in September, October, you're gone before Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I feel like, we talked a little bit about this on Saturday, and that's relocation.
It's big.
Relocation
right
is really big towards the end of the year, very beginning of the year, because I would say more towards the end of the year because they want to be settled into their home start of the new year. So they're starting their job wherever it may be. But, Massachusetts and Boston and South Shore is such a big hub of, people coming here for jobs, and, they're looking for homes, and sometimes they already know that they're only going to be staying there for a couple of years. So,
and some of them purchase it sight unseen.
yeah. You're looking.
That's
if
scary
you're watching
to me.
us on Facebook, you could just see the horror on Trish's face.
I could never buy a house sight unseen. That terrifies me.
Oh my
but
gosh!
It's. I mean, people do it.
People do it. I don't know
all
how.
the time. But
I don't know how.
I couldn't spend that much money.
Well, it's interesting because I had actually Sharon was doing a CMA, so a comparative market analysis for somebody. Excuse me, and she had asked me while she was doing it, she said, do you mind calling this particular agent? I have a home that I'm doing a CMA for that is very similar. It's under agreement. Just, possibly get some information on, because it had gone off market before, what happened. And she was very kind and gave me sort of the lowdown. And, it was under agreement with somebody, cash buyer at first, but they hadn't seen the property. And she said, it was a mistake. They had a really great offer, and it just sort of took us like, okay, yeah, we want to take this. And unfortunately, it fell through because when they finally did see the house, they were like, oh, yeah, I feel like there's something better that's going to come on. And so, it wasted a lot of time, and unfortunately. And it also prompts someone to ask the question, hey, why'd it come back on the market? Luckily, the agent was very kind and did, tell me the truth, and, had the professional courtesy of just being like, yeah, they never even saw it. They thought they can find something better. But, it was back under agreement with somebody else, and she said that was a great offer as well.
Well, good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck
Yeah,
to them. So
that's
relocation.
stressful.
But I feel like you have a listing right now that is a great home
Oh, it's
for a
beautiful.
relocation.
It's
And I do want to
gorgeous.
give you some time during the show to talk about your listing. Is it Bridgewater?
It's in Bridgewater.
Bridgewater,
Yep.
yeah.
It's 20. I'll just chat about
Yeah,
it now.
chat about it now.
It's 26 Pratt Ave. It's almost new construction. It's 3 years old. It's beautiful, full of upgrades. You don't
really
have to
is.
wait. In a great neighborhood. It's like everything's new. It's I love it.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's
so
3 years old. It
pretty.
pretty much is
So
new.
pretty, and we just took a price adjustment, so we're on for $925, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2.5-bath, soaking tub.
Oh,
It's so
I know.
pretty.
Yeah.
It is, and I just love their style. So it's
Yeah.
very well done. Finished basement. It's great.
Yeah. I was looking through the pictures and I was like, wow, this is a really great house.
It is.
It is.
It
And I
is.
typically like to go to the open houses, but you've been doing them on times that I just can't get there.
All right. Well, Saturday from 1 to 3, I'll be there. I don't know what you got going on, but I will be there.
Okay. So again,
Yes.
give the address in the open house that you are doing there.
Yes, it is 26 Pratt Ave in Bridgewater, and I'm doing an open house Saturday from 1 to 3, and it's on for $925.
Michelle Fay, who is a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate, as well as watching us on Facebook, and she said, "Love fall, spend the holidays in your new home."
Yes.
I mean, yeah, like you said, your client was wondering where they're going to put their Christmas tree. That was something that was really important to them. So spend the holidays in your new home.
Exactly. And I think everybody's with the fall, I mean, weather is on your side. So you don't have to worry about, hurricanes and power outages and snowstorms and power outages. And I mean, we've had a couple of times where there's been like a doozy of a storm and people don't have power, and we're getting very creative with where we're closing and how we're going to close and doing use and occupancies and moving trucks getting stuck in the snow. I mean, Nick and I closed on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
And there was a snowstorm. And the sellers, I mean, they were lovely, but the truck they got wasn't big enough, and the snow was so high. Like, it was like, I remember doing the walkthrough, our first house. The walkthrough, I was just like, wow, wow. Like, it's like in the fall, you can see the yard. Like, when you're shopping in the winter, it's, sometimes in New England, like, we have snow, and once it falls, it's kind of there for a while, and you can't really see the backyard. And with COVID, backyards have become like a huge selling feature. So like, the fire pits, the outdoor kitchens, the outdoor living rooms, the pools, the patios. Like, it has been such a huge selling feature. And it's like, oh, if you have like a fire pit and like you've got everything set up and it's all pretty and people can see it, I mean, those sell houses. I remember one time Mary and Sharon had a listing in Pembroke, and literally people were like yelling at each other that they were putting in the offer and they were buying that house, and it was so like intense, and it was the backyard. Like, the backyard was
This
amazing.
was during COVID, right?
No, it was right before COVID. It was like right as like everything was exploding, and
I think that's the one that they got 44 offers on.
it was insane. It was like so insane, and I was just like. So, like, when people can see the backyard, they see themselves out there. And, a lot of people, stay home. And now that everything's so expensive, people aren't really able to go on vacation as much as we used to. So it's like, all right, we can have those vacations at home and love where you live. And
have your own personal paradise.
I know.
Well, something that you could do, even if, first off, hire a professional agent.
Yes.
Okay. But even if you're thinking about selling in the middle of winter or at really any point during the year, and it might be, not for a few months, have that conversation with your agent and take pictures when it's in its glory.
Exactly.
And it looks, especially if you have that selling point or selling feature in your backyard or front yard or anything having to do with outside, you want to highlight it in its best light. So if you have a pool or anything like that, an outdoor oasis, taking pictures of it when it's still open and operating, because of course,
Absolutely.
if you purchase a home during the wintertime, what are some questions that you should be asking?
It's like, can I see the records for the pool? And, when was the last time you did this and that? And did you open it last year? And people are always like, oh, of course, as like a seller, you're going to be like, oh, it's great. It worked great. And it could have worked great.
Yeah.
And then you closed it up and then you open it up and it might not be as awesome as it was. And so I always say, if you're going to be selling in the fall and you have a pool, just plan to close it like Columbus Day.
Yeah.
And just at least get one open house in with the pool open so people can see it. Because that's a big expense and you want to know what you're getting. Yeah. And home inspectors don't look at pools. I have had one pool inspection and it was 6 hours.
Oh yeah. I remember something having to do with the pool. One of our agents, I won't give it away because it might be a whole big thing, but one of our agents had a buyer, and they wanted a pool inspection, and it was like, nope. And then come to find out the pool was not in working order, and there were some issues afterwards. So
it's a big expense, but it's also a huge selling feature. And I know people are like, oh, pools don't sell houses, but I'm going to say more often than not, I've had way more people want a pool than don't want a pool.
Do you want a pool in your house?
I would love a pool. I would love someday. Put it on the vision board.
Someday. I only ask because you have, you purchased a new construction, or you guys built it together. Yeah, you guys built it. Yep. So one day you'll have a pool.
One day. I just want more trees first. I want more
trees.
You
want more trees?
Yeah, I want to build like privacy with trees.
Oh, yeah.
Like we have a lot of trees, but I just want more pretty ones.
Yeah, I have a lot of trees and privacy, and so like my land like goes behind my neighbors, and I haven't exactly like figured out where the line is just yet, so I'm like sort of nervous to be walking it.
It's very interesting,
but I'm like is this mine, is this theirs, is this mine, is this theirs, so I'm like, I'm respectfully right now I'm just gonna stay where I know I own.
Yes.
And then I'll figure it out. But the privacy, that's what I love about my house a lot is, we're not all on top of each other, and we have some, division where you can be outside and not realize that you have people around you.
Yeah.
Okay, so why else is the fall a hidden gem in real estate? Any market trends you see in the fall?
So I think as agents, when everybody thinks, oh, spring market, but when we're pricing homes coming out of the winter, it's kind of, you don't have as many comps, and the comps are usually a little bit lower. So we're always trying to forecasting that they're going to come up as spring market happens. The busiest closing day, I would say, is the last business day in June, is typically the busiest closing day for us in Massachusetts. And so that day would be a comp for you if you were to list, because we typically go back 6 months, sometimes 3 months when it's very volatile. So you're going to get all those really good comps, and then you're going to be one of fewer homes on the market. Yeah. So for a seller, that's very, very good. Yeah. For a buyer, I mean, maybe they missed out on all those homes and they're getting a little bit more, I don't want to say desperate, but more understanding that, it's not a market to test, and you just got to put your best foot forward and put realistic offers out there. And I mean, even wonderful offers aren't getting accepted because of the competition.
Do you think that there's more price adjustments in the fall and winter time than in the spring, summer? Or do you think it doesn't really matter the time of year?
I feel like it's really just house specific.
Like
sometimes in the summer, like people start to like drop it a little bit, and because they want to sell before maybe the fall, if they have like a school situation where they want to be in by in a certain town by a certain time. They might get a little bit more aggressive, but it's hard because some people price their homes correctly. I have like my last little page of notes, because I did do notes as well. But it's like, when is the best time to sell your home? It's truly when it's right for you.
Yeah.
It's right for you and your family. So there's always
Yeah.
I mean, right now
I
there's just nothing out there. So
Yeah, I always say that. I've always said that ever since,
Mhm.
even before I started doing the show is, everyone always asks, oh, when's the right time to sell it? The right time to sell is when you're ready. There's always going to be buyers. There's always going to be sellers. Inventory will influx,
Yes.
fluctuate, but there's always going to be somebody looking for a house. There's always going to be somebody trying to sell a house. So
Absolutely. Life is
there's a
just very
bum for every seat.
Exactly. And I think that it's just situational. More and more buyers are coming into the market. More and more people are getting older and making
Yeah.
changes, and so it's what makes sense for you. I and I laugh because when we closed on our land, like right before COVID,
Mhm.
and we were planning on staying in our house until our house was built. And then I was like the worst client of my own, and I just freaked out. And I was like, "Oh
We
my
have to put
God,
the
the
house on
world's
the
ending.
market."
We have to sell right now, right now. We got to put it on." And Nick's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yes, yes. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It's so uncertain. And had I
Yeah.
waited,
Yeah.
I would have made way more money." But it was what was right for us then, and my
Yeah.
sanity.
But you also could have spent a lot more building,
Oh
because
no,
well, no,
no.
but like as
The
time
wood.
went by, yeah, I'm sure you
We
felt
missed
it.
the wood.
I'm sure you felt it, but let's make you feel a little bit better. Potentially, you could have spent more,
Yes.
even if you waited, 6
Yes.
months or so.
Yes.
Um,
So
I think something to be aware in the fall/winter too is just being aware of your timeline. And, if you do get an accepted offer, you have an accepted offer on your house, being aware of, there are a lot of holidays, there are a lot of times that, professionals are taking time off or buyers or sellers are taking time off, going on vacations and having sort of time where they're not sort of doing their everyday life, and just
Correct.
and I had said on the Saturday show is I closed the week of Thanksgiving last year. I don't host Thanksgiving, so that did not change anything in my life.
Yeah.
But I was trying to be aware of the seller's sort of everyday life. She was moving in with family, and I wanted to make that transition easy for her. There would have been a day in November that was actually the day before Thanksgiving that I sort of wanted to change the narrative in my life about that day, but it just wasn't going to work, and I didn't want to add any stress to anybody else, my attorneys, loan officer, everybody. So, it chose a different day that sort of worked for everybody.
Yes.
That was just my thought process. But, when it gets closer to the end of the year, there are some times that are a little bit tricky
Oh
to
my
get
goodness.
people to.
So between Christmas and New Year's, I feel like everybody just kind of checks out.
Yeah.
And I mean, for say somebody that's, it's a first time home buyer, like exactly, they're probably not hosting events, but they're being mindful of the person that lives there. I've had people that say, "I need one last Christmas in this house."
Yeah.
So they basically were like, "Okay, well, what's a doable date for you if you're hosting Christmas and then you're getting out?" And for some people, it's like, "Well, why don't we close on, December 28th,
Yeah.
29th, something
Yeah.
like that."
Well, also being aware of the registry and everybody else trying to close on those
Those
on that
days as
date.
well. Yes.
I mean, the registry I feel like is always busy, but especially, towards the end of the month, the last Friday of the month, Sharon had even said, like, I don't schedule closings for Fridays because
No.
we have to have a hiccup day no matter what. And being in my position here in the company, I have seen a lot of properties not close on time for a number of reasons. So, when I'm waiting to click print for a check,
Yes.
because that's not happening until,
We're on
property
record.
is on record and we have everything that we need, nothing is being released until then. I'm seeing the delays, and it's for a number of different reasons, and that could be potential as well in the fall, is because the weather's changing. There's days that the registries close, those things. So keep that in mind
And
with your
banks,
time,
like
with
bank
your
hours
yeah.
and things like that. You can't
Yeah.
always, and like during holidays, people take time off. And so if that, paralegal isn't in and they can't get this document and,
Mm-hmm.
they submitted it all to the registry of deeds at, 3:37 and it kept kicked back for a thing and they had to change it and then
Yeah.
they didn't get it in by 4 o'clock and then it's like, oh, well,
Oh.
we have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
And tomorrow can be very inconvenient for
Yeah.
a lot of people
Yeah.
because if tomorrow's a holiday,
Yeah.
yikes, that's another 24 hours.
Only a few minutes left, but I want to talk about staging as well. What are some fall staging tips that you have? It could be exterior as well, maintenance or staging tips that you have when it comes to fall specifically.
I would say yes, to definitely have the tasteful decor, have have the mums, have the pumpkins, clean up the leaves. You don't want people like trudging through leaves. They want to see, your yard and how pretty it can be. Clean out the gutters, especially before winter,
Yeah.
because that can lead to more issues. I don't know. Nick and I, we have vinyl siding and we use this house wash and we like literally clean our siding because people don't realize like there's like stuff growing on the side of your siding. It's all dirty and you
Yeah.
got to clean it and
Yeah.
make it sparkle. And the other nice thing is you can take the screens out of your windows. And so your windows are so much more brighter.
Yeah.
And so I do enjoy when people burn candles during their open houses. And I think the fall scents, I don't know, maybe I'm just biased, but I just really like apples and pumpkins,
Yeah. Michelle, I've gone to quite a few open houses of Michelle's, and she's baked cookies before. Not in the
impressive.
houses. Not in the house. She bakes them in our own home.
Disclosure. I love it when sometimes
yeah.
sellers bake them and then like, but don't offer them out. I'm like, oh, that's like
Oh, really?
such a tease.
Oh, that is rude.
I know.
Look at me. I'm all upset for you guys.
I know. It's like, well,
yeah.
we want it to smell good, but we're gonna eat them.
I would just.
But don't cook meals.
Oh yeah.
That's I know it's like big
Again,
crock
this is
pot
a 5
time, but
cents a
sometimes
oh,
you
yeah,
get
big
like
crock pot.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Some you might not be able to host the Sunday football event.
Yes.
that week.
Well,
if you're selling it.
You might just have to be like, I can't do it. I
Although
can't do
this year they're
showings on
mostly,
Sunday.
1:00 games, day games, so it's tough.
Oh. Well, then you do the early open house. You do like
Yeah.
the 10 to
10 to
12.
Yeah,
I love early
Then you
open
have your
houses.
looky-loos that you were defending in the beginning of the show. The looky-loos coming through. Oh, before you head out, can I come around and see the house?
I love it though. They all show up in their Patriots gear, and we're
Oh
like,
my
"Oh,
gosh.
go Pats!" And they're on their way. Yep,
Oh my
killing
God.
time before the game.
That is so funny. Sharon's texting me. She's watching us.
Oh, hi.
Don't cook fish stew is what she
Oh,
says.
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, who does that?
Or onions, or
yeah,
it's bad.
no.
It's
Yeah,
yeah.
have
The
a little
senses
barbecue
are
outside.
huge. They're-
Yeah,
they
well,
are huge.
we've done a few shows on the 5 senses. Maybe we need to do another one, Sharon. We need to do another one on a Saturday. Is doing the 5 senses. But yes,
One other big thing I want to
yeah.
say. So the daylight gets darker earlier. So as a seller, it's kind of nice because
Yeah.
people will come look at your house on the weekends.
And-
So
or
like
during
with
the
the
day.
hustle and bustle
Yeah.
of like, if you have a family and you're like off the bus and on
Yeah.
to sports and this and
Yeah.
that, people typically aren't coming
Yeah.
during the week as
Yeah.
much unless they work from home and
yeah.
they're working when they're touring your
Yeah.
house. But
It is a little tough to, really get the feel of a home or the neighborhood or anything, at nighttime. But, there are some people who, work during the day and are going to see properties at night. But I always feel like they go back.
always,
They-
every single
yeah.
time. So it's always like a whole like bone of contention because you're like, why don't you just wait until Saturday so they can see it during the light? And they're always like, no, we want to see it right away. And you're like, okay, fine. And then they inevitably like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we'd like to see it in the daylight.
I know. I'm going to
told
come
you.
back. Well, I think that no matter when you see it for the first time, you should always go back a second time. I mean, how can you buy
Well,
anything?
now you can
just when you've seen
actually
one?
go back for a second time.
Yeah,
there
you
was a
can go
period of
back.
time where you could only
You
look at
could
a house
come
for 15 minutes and then you're getting shooed out.
Yeah, you gotta decide: are you buying this or not?
Yeah. Hurry
I
up.
promise that's not what we said, but
That's how it felt.
yeah, I know. Only a couple minutes left. I want to give you an opportunity again to give a shout out to your listing and obviously let people know how they can get in touch with you. What are some final thoughts? Reasons why you wanted to do this show. Biggest takeaway for our listeners tonight. You're staring at me like, did we just do a show? I blacked out. That was funny.
Honestly, I think fall is a wonderful time to sell. I do, and I think for buyers, you can get a deal because
Again, it's the vibe.
It's the vibe. It's true, and like people buy houses emotionally and justify logically. So, if houses have to talk to you, they do. I always said I couldn't afford that feeling, and then I walked into my house, and for all the work that it needed, I got the feeling. I felt it, and it was fall. Yeah, it was fall, and there were a bunch of leaves on the ground.
I want to do we should have done a like a poll or something, whatever it's called. We should have asked everybody in the office today, what time of year did you buy your house?
Mine were all fall and winter. Yeah, winter.
Sharon, when did you? She'll text me.
Yeah.
So Sharon also said benefit of buying a new house in a new development is you don't have to worry about closing delays.
Yes, because it's already done. Yeah.
One or so minute left. How can people get in touch with you if they want to hire you as their listing agent or buyer's agent?
Yes, they can call or text 781-223-3286. That's 781-223-3286, or email me at T as in Trish, Flynn, FLYNN at bostonconnect.com. Or Team Flynn at bostonconnect.com, and you can get Nick.
Yeah.
Again, and you get 2 for the price of 1.
Give a shout out again to your listing that you're doing an open house over the weekend.
My listing is 26 Pratt Ave. It's the Nathan model in the Duxboro Estates in Bridgewater.
Perfect. And when are you doing an open house?
We'll be there Saturday 1 to 3 after some Badger football.
Go Badgers. You can find all of Trish and Nick's information on bostonconnect.com, all of our information on bostonconnect.com, all of our past shows as well. And we post our open houses there, so be sure to follow us on there and all of social media, and you'll see Trish's new listing, 26 Pratt Ave in Bridgewater, 1 to 3 on Saturday. Be sure to visit them. Thank you so much, Trish.
Thank you.
Painless, huh?
Yep.
Bye, everybody. See you guys Saturday.
The South Shore's first choice for live team coverage of breaking news.